Hi and welcome. My name is Joelle Ng and I'm here on behalf of the YMCA and we're going to do chair yoga today. Today's class is 45 minutes long. So in preparation for the class today, get yourself set up in your environment. If you have a mat, you can use the mat and drape it across your floor just so that your chair has a little bit more stable foundation to sit on. If you don't have a mat, it's okay. Just try to stabilize your chair as much as possible. And now grab your chair if you don't have it yet, and you want to ultimately have a chair that has good weight to it, so it's not going to tip over as you move around on the chair. So you want it to be very stable. You definitely don't want to have a chair with wheels. You want to have a chair that also has a nice back to it. So you want yourself and your environment to be very safe, because we are going to sit on a portion of the chair. We're not going to really sit towards the back of the chair. And if your chair does have a tendency to tip forward, you can always grab something heavy like a book, maybe like a book, and place it behind the back of your chair so it stays stable. Okay? And then let's begin the practice today. I usually like to start off with the nice shoulder rolls because it helps us to relax down into the space. A lot of times we don't realize that we are actually holding our shoulders up tightly like this. So as we do the shoulder rolls, it helps us to bring awareness to how we're holding our bodies. And then now circle the shoulders in the opposite direction. Good. And then slowly come back into that centered space. And then make subtle movements on the chair or wiggle the body and get yourself to feel very comfortable and relaxed in the environment. And then notice any sounds that are coming into your environment. As this is a virtual practice, you're likely doing this in your home space. There's bound to have sounds coming in and out of the environment, but do your best to just tune in to this present moment. I mean, this is what the practice is all about. Allowing yourself to pull your energies in to this present moment and to service yourself so that you get this full, complete practice that is serving you best. All right. So to help with that, take the palms to face down. Find that nice tall seat. If it doesn't feel comfortable with you right now sitting on this chair with the palms down, you can always take your hands down to the seat. If you need to feel where that seat is at, you need to feel more secure in this environment you've just created. Okay? So take the palms to face down. And then take the eye gaze to a point on the floor and focus to a point on the floor. And then if you've been in my classes before here at the YMCA and you're used to my practice of starting off, you're welcome to close your eyes down. And if you feel comfortable, close your eyes down. So I'm going to close my eyes down.
Sounds dry.
So what we're doing now is tooling ourselves up. We're giving ourselves these tools in the practice to begin to focus into the present moment. We're taking our eye gaze to a point to pause there, or we're closing our eyes, gaze down. Because when our eyes move from side to side and our eyeballs are just rapidly moving from corner to corner, it usually means we have a lot of thoughts.
Sounds dry.
And the mind is having this monkey mind jump from thought to thought. And it takes a moment to really settle into a new space, a new environment, to set up for a virtual class. So we want to tether our energies by focusing to a point. Closing the eyes down. And then we want to take the hands where the palms face down to ground our energies down.
Sounds
And find this nice tall seat and feel your spine.
Soundstripe.
Visualize all the vertebrae that run along your spine. And imagine making more space in between each vertebrae that runs along your spine. See if you can relax the shoulders down, elongate through the neck. Top crown of the head points up towards the sky. Feel your pelvic bow and the base of your pelvic bow.
Soundstripe.
See if you can drop the tailbone down and tilt the pelvic bow up towards the navel center, firming in at the core.
Soundstripe.
So we use the tools of this practice by aligning ourselves first.
Soundstripe.
Yoga is more than just that physical practice. It takes us a moment to mentally check in. If we're not fully engaged and checked in, then we're not receiving the full benefits of the practice. And the whole part of the practice is to be in the space
Soundstripe.
with the mind, with the body, and with your soul. Take a deep inhale through the nostrils. Open and exhale out through the mouth. 2 more like this. Big breath in. Exhale out through the mouth.
Soundstripe.
1 more. Big breath in. Exhale out through the mouth. Beautiful. Now slowly take one hand to the heart and the other hand to the belly. In my practice, I design it where there is a breathing exercise built in.
Soundstripe.
There's the movement and the postures. And there's a cool down and rest at the end. This practice and exercise is like no other.
Soundstripe.
It's tapping into all layers of your being. The outer body, the mental mind, the emotional mind, the wisdom body,
Soundstripe.
and the bliss body. We have many layers, like the layers of the onion, to peel away, to get to the heart and soul of our innermost light. So as we take the hand to the heart and to the belly, we begin to tap into ourselves, our internal self. So follow that breath inwards and feel the sensation of the breath moving through you. Feel the rise and fall of the chest and the belly.
Soundstripe.
And tune into that channel. Notice the quality of your breath. Is the breath choppy or smooth? Is the inhale or the exhale
Soundstripe.
uneven? Without judgment, just bring awareness to your breath and the movement of your breath.
Soundstripe.
Notice if you're breathing more to your belly or your chest. If you're breathing more through your chest, you tend to be in more hyperactive mode. If you're breathing more through your belly, you're more relaxed. Without self-criticism or self-judgment, just notice. This practice is very compassionate, very open to all levels. Taking the time to breathe is an integral part of this practice. Good. Good. Now slowly begin to take the hands to the heart center. Pull the hands in. Relax the chin down towards the space of the heart. As we're moving through difficult times right now and challenging times, maybe tap in and tune into the space of your heart. If you'd like to set up an intention, set up a dedication or an honoring to someone in need, take that time to plant that seed deep into the space of the heart. And allow that to guide you through the flow of the practice today. Good. Now slowly draw your head up. And as you inhale, reach the hands all the way up to the sky. As you exhale, twist over to the right side. Inhale, come back to center. Reach the hands all the way up. As you exhale, twist over to the other side. Good. Big breath in. Hands reach up. As you exhale, twist over to one side. And begin to flow like this, on your own rhythm, on your own breath. If you feel you need to move faster or slower, if you feel you need to pause, then pause. So let this practice be about you. I can guide you through all of the flows and postures, but ultimately you are the one that's writing your story of this moment. So as you inhale, reach long through that centered space. As you exhale, twist over to one side. Begin to feel the spinal cord as it twists on the axis of the spine. Good. Now slowly come back to center. Reaching both hands straight up, relaxing the shoulder blades down, and now dropping the right hand, feeling for where your chair is at, holding on to the chair and leaning over towards the right side. Good. Now spin that right shoulder open, take the eye gaze just under the armpit, look up towards the ceiling. Good. Now slowly come back to center. Drop the other hand down, reach over to the side. Spin that shoulder inwards and spin it back out. Open up through the chest, open up through the heart. Lift the eye gaze up towards the ceiling if it's okay with your neck. Try to lengthen more through the side body, opening up that space. Good, big breath in. Come back to center. Now reach the hands forward and up and begin to sweep the hands behind. Make nice big circles with the hands and the arms. So we want to open up the spaces in the body so that we can fully breathe into these spaces. We do this breath work and breathing exercise. It's also known as pranayama. Prana, which means life force. Ayama, which means to stretch. We as humans have 20,000 breaths that we breathe a day. How many of those breaths are actually mindful and conscious? So we want to breathe so we filter and nourish in every cell. We open up those spaces that might feel confined. Good. Slowly now drop the hands to the shoulders and rotate the elbows. So right now might be a very challenging time for people where we have a lot of stress built up and it accumulates in all these different spaces in our bodies. So we want to make sure that we are opening up those spaces so circulation can thrive into those spaces. Reverse the other way. Good. Beautiful. And then slowly come back into center. reach the hands all the way up. Draw the hands down towards the midline. Big breath in, hands reach around up overhead. Feel the space around you, grab the energies inward. As you exhale, take the hands out wide. Fold forward, take the torso forward and take the hands down towards the mat, the floor. And maybe your hands touch the mat, maybe they don't. Wherever you're at, let the head drop down. Let the head be easy. And then just shake the head yes and shake the head no. And I'm not going to shake too much because I know I have the microphone on me. Good. And then slowly press the floor away. Come onto your fingertips. And then reach the hands a little higher. Pull the shoulder blades back. Take the center of the chest and reach the center of the chest forward. Slightly forward of your space. Good. As you exhale, float the head down. Let the head be heavy. Chin drops in. Inhale, take the hands out wide. Firm in through the core and the navel center. Reach the hands all the way up to the sky. Take a slight back bend. Take the thumbs a little further back. Arms a little further back. If you have tight shoulders, take your hands out into a V. As you happen to exhale next, take the hands down towards the midline. Good. Inhale, arms sweep around up overhead. Lengthen here. As you exhale, swan dive forward, hands out wide. Reach your hands towards the floor. They may or may not touch the floor. It's okay. Energetically reach. Inhale, come into a halfway lift. Pull the shoulders back. Hands travel up the legs. Elbows reach back. Heart moves forward. Exhale, folds you forward. One more like this. Inhale, sweep the arms around up overhead. Draw the hands down towards the midline. This is called sun salutation. It's one of the most balancing flows you can do in the practice. Hands reach up. As you exhale, flow forward. It helps brings consciousness to our breath and linking up the breath with the movements. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folds you forward. Adding on from here, inhale, sweep the hands all the way around up overhead. Clasp your hands, pointer finger stays up. Looks like this. It's like Charlie's Angels. Lengthen here through the side body. As you exhale, lean over to the right side. Good. Big breath in. Come back to center. Travel over to the left side. Wonderful. And do this a couple more times. Good. And then slowly come back to center. Take the hands to the hips, and then we open up through the calf muscles and the legs. So extend that right foot forward. Find that nice tall seat. Make sure that your chair is not tipping forward, too far forward. You can scoot yourself a little more forward of the chair. Brace yourself with your hands. And as you inhale, reach the hands all the way up. As you exhale, just hinge at the hip creases. So straight spine, long back. Just hinge at the hip creases. Take the center of the chest and pull the center of the chest forward, leaving your hands lifted like this. And pause here, 2 breaths. Inhale 1, inhale 2. Then hinge a little further and pause here. See if you can pull the center of the chest forward. Hinge at the hip crease, starting to feel sensation in the calf muscles, back of the right leg. Good. And then slowly from here, you can either stay here if you're feeling enough sensation. If you feel you can go further, maybe taking your hands down to the floor, or maybe even here to the shins. So find the modification that's going to work for you today. And you want to slightly flex that foot, activate that space, and feel the subtleties of the muscles, the tendons, joints, the fascia. Imagine all of those things detangling and opening up as you breathe. Big breath in, big breath out. Good. And then slowly come all the way up. And then we switch out the legs, switch out to the other side. As you inhale, reach the hands all the way up. As you exhale, hinge slightly at your hips. So as you notice, yoga is a very patient practice. We're always wanting to get to the next level, get to the next moment. There's so many ways of feeling happiness in this very moment. All you have to do is take a pause and feel through the space. If you can go a little further, reach a little longer. So yoga, like no other, asks you to come into the abundance of this moment and to feel all that you have right now. We're constantly hurrying, scurrying, and worrying about the next moment. We lose track of what is really happening now. And we stop ourselves from feeling. And if you can go a little further, maybe dropping the hands down towards the mat. So give yourself this patience and this tolerance. 2 more breaths. Inhale 1. Inhale 2. Good. Slowly come all the way back up. And draw that foot in. And then from here, we're going to take the legs out wide, toes to point out towards the side, heels to point in, taking the hands down. And from here, you're going to take the torso slightly forward. You're going to drop the right shoulder down, press into that inner thigh. So we're prepping now before we come into our Warrior One pose. Good, and then slowly drop the other shoulder down. And give your body that time to adjust. Beautiful. Come back to center. And then from here, you're going to scoot yourself over to the right side of the chair. You're going to take your right foot out so your kneecaps point towards the right side. You're going to extend that foot back. And then you're going to turn the toes in slightly so that back thigh rolls in. You want this hip to move slightly forward. And you want this back hip to move back. So adjust yourself on the seat. You can grab the back of the seat. You can heel toe your foot out to the side more so that you're sitting on this very corner. You feel stabilized. Back foot as flat down as you can possibly make it. So you want the pinky toe side of the foot to anchor down. As you inhale, reach the hands all the way up. As you exhale, take your hands around and behind. Inhale, reach forward and up. Exhale, reach the hands around and behind. 2 more like this. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Good. Now slowly from here, take the hands all the way up and then drop that one hand down that's on the side where your leg is extended, and then take your right hand and press that elbow back and pull that elbow close in towards the ear. You can pause here. If you'd like to attempt a bind or a wrap, you can take that right hand, wrap it around, and then grab onto your shirt. Or you can energetically reach for your fingertips. Maybe they touch. Maybe they even hook. So you want to pull that left elbow up towards the ear. You want to draw that back shoulder down. So getting a little bit more intense and building heat here. Pay attention to your legs. I noticed my back leg started falling in. So I want to press deeply into the heel and that back foot. Good. Slowly now take the hands out wide and take the hands to the hips. And then from here, we return back to center. We make our way to the other side. Okay, so we're coming into warrior one on the opposite side. So now you're taking your left foot, the kneecap points out towards the side. That back leg extends long. It doesn't have to be super straight. Soft knee bend. Back thigh rolls inward. Back foot is anchored down into the mat. So adjust your seat and you can adjust your footing. You can heel toe your foot out to the side so that you make sure that your butt cheek is on the chair. You want to swivel that hip forward. You want to square your hips off as much as you can towards the side, yet anchor down into that back foot. So you want a nice even stretch here on that front thigh. You want to sweep the arms forward and up. As you exhale, sweep the hands back and behind. Watch out for that back chair. And then just do this a few times, opening up the front body space. Helping to clear out that lymphatic. Helping to remove any toxins, detoxify, and excavate all that stuff in our body that we don't need by breathing into this space, building a little bit of heat and maybe perspiration. And then when you are ready, land here with the hands reaching all the way up. And then bend that right elbow, take your hand to the middle of the back, pat yourself on the back, tell yourself good job. Then take that elbow, press that elbow back, pull that elbow close in. And you can stay here and hang out here. And if you'd like, you can take that bind, you can wrap the other arm around. You can reach for your fingertips. Maybe grab onto your shirt or just energetically reach. And then see if you can move your torso so it squares over your hips. Keep anchoring down into that back foot as much as possible, building a little heat. Good, 2 more breaths. Inhale 1, inhale 2. Beautiful, slowly now arrive back to center. Take your hands to your hips, reposition yourself. And then we're going to come into eagle posture. So as you scoot yourself a little more forward, cross your left leg over your right. You can help it if you need to. And then take your hands out wide. And take your hands out wide and then hug yourself so it's right over left. And feel for your shoulder blades. So wiggle your fingers and pull the shoulder blades apart. And find that nice tall seat. Then take the hands to the heart, to the center here. So hands to touch either front of the palms or back. And for those of you who have done this before, you can wrap one more time if that feels okay. Wherever you're at, lift the elbows up and draw the elbows forward. And then pay attention to what's happening to that leg that's crossed over. Try to see if you can pull in the inner thighs tightly and squeeze it together. We want to squeeze towards the center line as much as possible. And as you lift the elbows up, you draw the elbows forward. Drop the left ear to the left shoulder. Good. Open up through that neckline. Pause here, let the opening happen through the side of the neck. Feel the shoulder lines through the back, opening up. Should feel good. If you feel any pinching or any pain, come out of it right away. Good. Expand all the way out. And then you're welcome to shake out the legs, shake out the hands, loosen up. So it's about this contract and release, pulling in the energies and then releasing out. So it's almost like squeezing like an old wet towel and wringing out all that stuff. Okay, so take the other leg, should be the right side, crossing over, taking the hands out wide, and you want to hug yourself the opposite way this time. So you're having the left over right. Check that your elbows are crossing, and then you also want the shoulder blades in the back to expand out. Okay, and then you take the hands to touch. This is called eagle arms, Garudasana arms. Lift the shoulders, lift the elbows up, shoulders height, and draw the elbows forward. You can take that one wrap, or you can take one more wrap with your hands if that feels okay for you. And think about squeezing everything towards the center line. And then from here, drop the right ear to the right shoulder. So we ask our body to move in all different directions. We ask ourselves to twist in various different ways. And it's also that we can flush through our system. Slowly come all the way back up to center. Release it all the way out, and then release the feet down. And then now we're going to come into a little bit of a lift off with a chair pose. So taking your hands, we can start off here easily to your lap. And then slowly shift your weight onto your feet and lift off the chair slightly. And then your hands can either stay here on your hips, or your hands can move forward and up. We can relax the shoulders down and just focus to a point just in front of you and hold your eye gaze there. 2 more breaths. Inhale 1, inhale 2. Good. And slowly lower yourself down, feel for your seat. And then we begin to move through this chair pose and flow through this chair pose. So reclaim your footing if that didn't feel comfortable holding there. Root down your feet into the floor. And as you inhale, float the hands forward and up. Lift your seat off. Inhale. And exhale. Float the seat down. Inhale, reach the hands forward and up. And if it doesn't feel safe with the hands moving, keep the hands on the hips. Perfectly fine. Adjust and modify as you need. Inhale, reaching the hands up. Exhale, taking the hands down. Good. Inhale, reaching the hands up. Exhale, taking the hands down. Beautiful. We do one more like this. Inhale, reach the hands forward and up. And this time, if you can hold it here, hold here. Focus to a point. Build some heat in the thighs. 2 more breaths. Inhale 1. Inhale 2. Beautiful. Slowly have a seat. And then you can shake out the legs. You can windshield wiper the knees. And take a nice deep breath. So grab onto your breath here. Beautiful. And then from here, we're going to take a nice deep twist again. Inhale, reaching the hands all the way up. As you exhale, twist over to the right side. Grab onto the back of your chair. Find that nice tall seat. Exhale, twist. Good. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, twist again. Beautiful. One more. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, twist. And then we move to the other side, reaching the hands all the way up. As you exhale, twist. The beauty about the twist is it helps to facilitate our digestion. And not just through the physical body. Twist helps us energetically to receive information coming in, to digest it down and to make it our own. So you see, the practice of yoga goes beyond just the physical space. It honors the whole of you, the physical, the mental, and the emotional. Beautiful. And now we're going to stand. So as you come to stand here, I'm going to move my chair to the side. You can keep your chair where it's at. I'm going to move my chair to the side just so you can see where I'm at, okay? And then from here, let's come into a balancing posture. So let's come into tree pose, Vrksasana. So you're going to shift your weight onto the left foot to start, and you're going to bend the other knee. And then you're going to turn that knee out to the side, on the right side. You're going to balance yourself as best as you can. Make that straight line, not to pour all your weight into the hip here. You want to balance yourself. You want to hug through the navel center. Drop the tailbone down. Find that nice tall spine. Feel the crown growing up towards the ceiling. Feel yourself broaden across the collarbones. And then from here, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes down and feel. So close your eyes down. Feel for one breath here. And you can keep your eyes closed if you'd like. It's a different practice. And it's a different feeling. And then if you'd like to go a little further, you can take your foot a little higher just below the knee. And readjust your body to align so it's tall and straight. If you'd like to go a little further, you can take that foot, place it above the knee. You never place the foot on top of the knee. And then what you want to do is you want to press the thigh in towards the foot. So both sides are pressuring in. Both sides are balancing and even. Hold on to the chair as much as you need. You can release that hand off the chair if you'd like. You can even, if you feel extra light and balanced, take the hands all the way up. Relax the shoulders down. Good. And then slowly taking the hands down. And then extending that standing leg all the way back. Shoot it all the way back. Forward bend for warrior 3. Good. Taking the hand out. And then drawing everything back in. Then I'm going to move to the other side. So tree on the opposite side. Shifting your weight onto your right foot. Turning the other foot out to the side. Finding that nice tall stance. Rooting and grounding. Anchoring into that space. Close the eyes down just for one breath. So we're building on our balance here. And then now if you'd like to go even further, taking that foot in, just below the knee. And then if you'd like to take it up in towards the inner thigh, take it towards the inner thigh. And then if your hands feel light, maybe your hands lift and maybe they expand out. Good. And then from here, hands return back to the chair, the hip, and shoot that left leg all the way back, 5 toes point down. Take a bow with one standing leg. Taking the hands out, if you'd like, into airplane. And then slowly come back to center, and then just release it all out. And then we'll make our way onto the mat. So you can either move the chair all the way to the side, or you can move the chair slightly forward, just as long as you can come onto the mat. You can sit onto the mat. If you cannot sit onto the mat or come down to the mat, it's okay. You can stay on the chair and just find your spot on the chair, a comfortable spot. And then as you come to the mat or on the chair, reach your hands long, grab onto the right wrist to reach that side long. Grab onto the other wrist, reach that side long. And then you can grab onto your knees, and then you can rock from side to side. If you're sitting in your chair, just grab onto your knees, and then take your knees. If you can, just move it to the right and to the left. Good. And then expand all the way out. And just relax down into the final resting posture, Shavasana. Let the whole body just melt down into the floor. Big breath in, open through the mouth, exhale it out through the mouth. 2 more, big breath in. Beautiful. And as you rest down here, just let yourself sink and relax and surrender into this present moment. Since you are in your own environment, since you're likely at home, you can stay here in Shavasana as long as you need. But for me at this moment, I am going to close out the practice. If you'd like to close out the practice at this time with me, you're welcome to join me and hug your knees into the chest. Roll on to your right side and come all the way up to a comfortable seat. So again, you have that option to stay there in Shavasana as long as you need to, or come up to a comfortable seat. Adjust yourself when you are there. Keep the eye gaze soft or closed, noticing any shifts within your body. Take your hands to your heart center and pull your energies in towards the center. So take a moment now to thank yourself for showing up today. Thank your friends, your neighbors, your family for being there for you. Throughout this time, we're all being challenged. We're all being tested. Use the time on the mat to come back to your inner knowing, your wisdom body. Use the experience that you have on the mat to not just nourish physically, but also to balance mentally and emotionally, to come back to your inner being that is all-knowing and very wise. The light in me humbles to the light in you, and I see it. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me in Chair Yoga today on behalf of the YMCA. I hope to see you again. My name is Joelle Ng. Bye for now.